Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Cindy Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week, continuing, was that a word?
Continuating.
I've not been able to speak today. Don't ask why. C words are really tripping me up.
C word is really hard for you.
C words
Your brain thought you were gonna say conservative, and she can't say conservative today.
My brain said no. Okay, but we are a word that I cannot say.
We are continuing.
Continuing that came out this year, and this might be one of the biggest movies that have come out this year.
Just in general, certainly. Not even in the horror space.
Just point blank. And that is Ryan Coogler's Sinners. And if you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Please go see it immediately. It literally had to have a re-release in IMAX because the people demanded more of it.
They said, give me Michael B. Jordan twice on the biggest screen.
I didn't see it in IMAX. Maybe I saw it twice in theaters, but not IMAX. So maybe I got to get back out there.
I saw it in IMAX and it was absolutely worth it. Okay, but so according to IMDb, Sinners is trying to leave their troubled lives behind. Twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Which, yeah, but
okay. Yeah.
There's so much going on in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
If you're trying to lure people in to see a movie, I can see how that would be the tagline that you write, but it's not the best summary of what you actually see. That said, the first time I saw it the Friday it came out, maybe. I don't think that I knew anything about it other than it was a horror movie and Michael B. Jordan and Hailee Steinfeld were in it. And I think I maybe knew that there was a scene with two Michael B. Jordans in it, but I don't think I even realized he was playing two characters. I thought it was like a spooky double or something like that. And I'm not even sure until the day of maybe that I knew it was a vampire movie. So I'm so curious, what did you guys know going in?
I knew that it was a vampire movie.
Me too. 100%.
From the jump.
I knew it was a vampire movie. I was like, it was like a black story plus vampires.
And it was a period.
It was about
piece. Because it's set in the 30s.
Black history plus vampires. Also, Hailee Steinfeld is there.
Yeah. And I was always like,
we'll explain. They're like, just hold on.
Yeah, because I was like, how is Hailee Steinfeld fitting in this black story from the 30s? And then when they did, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
And they were like, don't worry, Hailee Steinfeld has checked her ancestry, and actually she's pretty much a perfect match, so get her in there.
She's actually a very incredible match. And there was a lot of discourse on twitter.com where they were like, this is a white woman, they need and they were suggesting all these other actresses that they were to be white passing. And
the white passing discourse.
All of the somebody was like, you don't understand, in the 30s, in the South, in Jim Crow era, there was a 1-drop rule. And it was if you have 1 drop, you are black, you are treated like you are black, you can't be accepted into these white spaces. And so to be able to pass, you have to actually look very white.
And also she had to move to a whole different state. She had to go over to Arkansas,
which wasn't considered the deep South back in the day, and is still not considered the deep South.
Fascinating.
To be
fascinating Arkansas fact.
Yeah, Arkansas is on my enemies list, actually, the entire state.
Wow.
I think it's number 17. I just don't like it. Don't ask.
Bad vibes.
You don't want to know the story of Arkansas, okay?
Maryland
these
is also on there. So sorry, Chelsea.
Baltimore exception.
Well, it's only because my childhood best friend lives there and she hasn't moved back yet. And so I'm holding a grudge on the state. So
And that's valid.
yeah, I was like, bitch, move back.
And I respect your grudge.
Thank you. I love their crabs.
Shouts
I
to
love
Mary.
their crabs. Well, I love Hailee Steinfeld, and I worked with her in the past, and I was like her talent liaison, and she was a fucking doll. And then I worked with her again like 5 days later, and she was like, "Hi, Monica."
Oh my god!
Wow, that's crazy. So I've always loved her for that. I was like, "Wow, you're a big fancy person. You've been wasn't she nominated for an Oscar or something?"
For True Grit, maybe.
Yeah, for True Grit. Yeah, no, I'm glad because she hasn't been acting as much late. What has she been doing? Actually,
She did music for a while. She had that song about masturbation.
Oh, I know. That's why I worked with her because it was when I worked in radio and she was
Yeah.
promoting her single.
She's been dating and now married to the Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. So I think she's just been in her WAG era.
Well, the Spider-Verse movies also
yeah, she's been voice acting.
have been recent, and she's doing that. You don't see her, so it's easy to not think about her as much.
Is she the blonde girl?
Love her.
She's,
I want
Spider-Gwen.
more of her. She should be a bigger star.
There's her IMDb. Yeah, no, I think she is fantastic and she's really good at all of her things. And she has a masturbation anthem.
I love that song.
So important.
I love me.
Gonna love
I love
myself
myself and I don't need anybody else. This song was playing every day, 14 times a day when Sydney and I worked together, by the way. So
it was. And Monica and I had a dance where we would sit there and we'd be like, I love me.
We would mime masturbation for those who
what
are
it
listening.
looks like.
That's what it looks like. We were DJing.
Well, we were pointing down, but we had to. You can't see. We're sitting.
This is not a really big. We don't have a lot of room.
Show me
here.
how you do it. Yeah, do it. Show everyone how you do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
2 hands.
Oh my god. Yeah, she's not been in anything that I would remotely care about. That's why I haven't seen it.
You don't care about Bumblebee, the Transformers movie?
You also
That's weird.
don't care about
weird.
Pitch Perfect.
Well, okay, that was a long time ago. I mean, recently.
So sorry to her, but that is one of the unfortunate parts of Pitch Perfect. It's not her fault, but
anyway, let's talk about Coogler. One, incredible name, great to say, fun for the whole family. 2, is he the voice of our generation? Probably. What a fucking genius. What fucking range. He wrote this and he directed it. And I think he did he do the same thing for Black Panther?
I don't know if he would have been able to solely write that because Marvel is so Marvel about everything that it's like they can hire one person to write it and then they're like, and then here are our 5 Marvel consultants who will come in and add all of the cameos and blah blah blah.
I do not know how any of that shit works.
For Creed he wrote them, 3, he did the story.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at his Wikipedia.
He wrote Black Panther.
Yeah, he wrote and directed both Black Panthers, the first one and Wakanda Forever. And he wrote and directed Fruitvale Station and Creed as well. And then Creed 2 and 3. Yeah, 3 he did the story, but he didn't write it, but he was an executive or a main producer and an executive producer on Creed 2.
Michael B. Jordan directed Creed 3.
Oh my god, that's so fun. He got to step into the director's chair.
Okay. I love Michael B. Jordan. I love him so
They love each other.
They are like every single thing that Ryan Coogler has done. Michael B. Jordan has been right there.
I'm here for it. I love it at all of it.
Oh my god! And did you know that Chad Michael Murray is in Fruitvale Station?
No, that is not information that I had about Fruitvale Station.
Oh my god! But yeah, I haven't seen any of the Creed movies, and watching this and loving it so much makes me want to watch it. I was just not interested because I'm not interested in boxing.
That's correct.
Yes,
I love a
I'm
good
usually not
boxing
interested in
movie.
boxing, but I am interested in Michael B. Jordan, and now Ryan Coogler. I'll do anything for him because he's gonna do the reboot of fucking X-Files, and that's his
Ooh.
next project is X-Files.
How fun.
And he's like, if you
Okay.
do it right, it's gonna be really fucking scary. Yes,
Yeah.
I love him. Also, he has a gorgeous smile. So
he's
everything
a
about
very
him,
beautiful man.
he's very handsome. Everyone who's in this movie is the hottest person I've ever seen.
Correct.
Even
So true.
the fucking Irish guy looking as spooky as he looks.
I
Also,
don't like when they have the spit though. It's so like dog drooly to me.
Well, they really
yes.
wanted the vampires to feel animalistic. Like
Well, they nailed it.
that was well.
It
So
was like
this
they're
was one of my
rabid.
this
Yeah.
was one of
Ugh.
my favorite things about the vampires in this movie is like the costuming and the like effects really wanted them to look like animals. So the bites and stuff are not like it looks
Like
like
the
something
clear
like
little
took a
puncture wounds.
chunk out
Yeah.
of them, and also
Yeah.
their eyes. They
love
like how
the
animals,
eyes.
they're reflective, and so each one of the vampires wore contacts that were hand painted with a reflective, like, and they're all different
Oh, so
colors,
that
and
wasn't
so that's why they're
CG.
it's all contacts. Contacts.
Fascinating.
I cannot say
Wow.
c words today. I don't know why. Am I having a stroke?
It sounded
I
like
put a
you said
spell on you.
contact. I heard it.
Thank
Oh,
you.
oh my god, she's
Oh.
so powerful.
I've been practicing my witchcraft.
Jesus Christ. Um, yeah, no, I loved that part of it, and I love that. Let me just get his name right. Remix eyes glowed red because he was the
Mhm.
alpha. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to get. It's too early for me to get into this whole thing, but like Pigeon Pin and just like the portrayal of vampires in this movie. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, they're bad, and then this time, last two times I watched it, I was like, I kind of like this kind of vampire more. I have more sympathy for this kind of vampire than many other vampire portrayals, and I thought it was really interesting. I feel like it'll be a good discussion, but I feel like we have a lot of context we have to talk about first before we get there. But
Like movie plot, maybe.
yeah, like movie plot, like a little bit
Well,
of
movie
it,
plot.
Like just like a little movie plot.
like
to,
a little bit of movie plot.
Get the ball rolling.
I just want to say that Miles Canton or Catton. I just added an N to his name. I'm so sorry, sir. What an incredible fucking voice. Oh my god. Just like goes into your soul and like does something to you. What the hell? Like I've never heard a voice like that in a really long time. Like, oh my god.
Apparently he was traveling with, like the artist Her.
Yeah.
Mm.
He was like traveling and like musically working with her, and and she convinced him to audition for
Yeah,
this.
this is his only fucking credit on his whole IMDb.
Okay, but also if a thing that makes me kind of want to die and kill
Oh.
myself is he was
Oh,
born
no.
in 2005.
I was like, where's this going?
He's 20 years old.
I
He
know.
is just a
He's
young
20 years old.
gentleman. But it's so interesting that you said that he recorded his audition tape like from the road, basically, because there's so much IMDb trivia for this movie and just general trivia I've seen since it came out that I can't hold it all in my head. But one of the ones that I wrote down was that Miles Caden's audition tape really caught Ryan Coogler's eye, in part because he was like just sitting in the dark, like he didn't have any lights on when he was doing it, which kind of makes more sense if he's like on the road. He doesn't have like, it's not like he's doing video auditions all of the time or whatever, self tapes they're called, if you're in the know, where he's got like a setup, you know what I mean? It was like he just did it in the dark, and Ryan Coogler said something about that was like so intriguing. This kid looked like he was in his basement, like in between homework assignments, but he had this voice, a once in a lifetime voice.
Really is a once in a lifetime voice. Oh, and it's just the music is like everything to this movie, and he puts voice to it. I read this really interesting article That was like a dual interview with Ryan Coogler and with the what would I say it is called? The composer?
Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, Ludwig Göransson. Is that not the composer? What word am I looking for?
I feel like
I think
composers.
it's composer.
Right.
I guess it is
But
composer.
it's a C word, so don't ask me. I don't
Oh,
know.
Yes, you can
rough
say it.
one.
It is
I'm
composer
sorry.
is how he's credited on IMDb.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and so Ludwig, love that that's his name, and Ryan Coogler have worked together also on like so many different projects.
He
like
did
on
Black Panther, Creed, Fruitvale Station.
all
Yeah,
of
they
that.
love working together.
Oh my god, he just has his besties and then he's like, bestie squad assemble.
As it should be.
Exactly. This is like Wes Anderson has Bill Murray and Owen Wilson and all these people.
Well,
This is Coogler's crew,
It's just like
okay?
Adam Sandler. Know what I mean? You see an Adam
Yeah.
Sandler movie, you're gonna see David Spade and you know what I mean? Like the gang.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean that's the thing. Like you meet your best friends, and then you're like, let's do this again and again and again.
It's just
And
like
also,
us.
like,
every week you see the three of us doing this
Every
podcast
week I'm like, who
together.
should I do a podcast with? Oh my god, it was so fun last week with Monica and Sydney. I guess I'll call them
I
again.
guess I'll just do
I
it
guess
again.
we'll do that. Oh my god. In my notes, I accidentally copy and pasted the entire article that I read about Ludwig.
It's gonna be super. You know when you're like studying for a test and you just like highlight everything and you're like, this is gonna help me retain all this information for sure.
It was definitely an accident because like all the pictures are in my notes. So I'm trying to get to this specific point. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. But yeah, like I don't know. I think that they did do like a really great job of making sure that they were being as authentic to the time period and to like black culture as they possibly could, because like Ludwig is, I think he's Swedish. That's what I'm
Swedish,
trying.
yeah.
Okay, he's Swedish. That's what I was trying to find in my notes, and I'm just looking at pictures of him and pictures of Ryan Coogler, which I'm not mad about because both of them are very handsome. But like Ludwig actually, or I'll guess you say Goranson. That's his last name. There's an umlaut over the O, so tell me how that sound works. I'm not really sure. But he like did grow up like loving like blues music because his father was like obsessed with blues artists. And played that music for him a lot as a kid, so he was very familiar with it. And apparently, like when they were deciding what to name Ludwig, they were gonna maybe name him after Albert King. And instead it lost out to naming him after Beethoven, so they went with Ludwig. So I thought that was really funny. But him and his wife produced all the music on the album. They moved to Louisiana with their whole family to like really like immerse themselves, and like they're like, we're not gonna be able to just like travel down there to like get the vibe. They're like, we need to live down there to like really like dig in deep to like make this as authentic as possible. And they worked really closely with Brittany Howard from Alabama
Bama
Shakes.
Shakes.
Yeah. And Raphael Sadiq, who's an R&B maestro from Oakland. So yeah, they like really like lived it and went down there, and like apparently Ludwig was like a part of like the writing process from like very early on with Ryan, because music is so integral to this story. Like the music had to weave through it like from the very beginning. So I just loved reading about that process between them. Apparently they bro out like their fraternity brothers, is how the writer of this article described it. They're just like homies, beyond homies, and they just are a really great creative pair. So I love that.
It sounds like he was like really into the history and the research in general.
Yeah.
I remember seeing, I think TikToks from Dolly Lee, but she was a cultural consultant on this movie, and she'd also made a documentary previously about the Mississippi Delta Chinese community. that Ryan Coogler had seen, and that's where he like reached out to her, and he learned that he had like ancestors who were part of that oh, his father-in-law had ancestors who were part of the Delta Chinese community, and that was part of why he like wanted to include them in the movie, and that was like a big moment for that community, and owning grocery stores that was like overlapping with the time period he was looking
Yeah.
at, so it worked out really well, and being able to build this like multifaceted community that he's looking at. But they were like very like studying historic documents to really be like, what would these stores look like what is, to really like nail those little details of like the set dressing of everything. I feel like I saw TikToks from the set dresser like over the last few months.
Oh,
So they
wow.
were like so involved in every step of the way. There was like so much care that went into making this movie.
Which is
Yeah,
really
and
fun also. And you get the colors. Um they were I watched a YouTube video about the three main colors are red, white, and blue. Like you see uh smoke in blue, stack in red a lot, and buildings. A lot of like the church and all of
Mm-hmm.
the buildings, like the merchant buildings, are all in white and stuff like that. And they were like, yeah, like we wanted to make like a point of like, I don't know, I love color theory in movies as well.
mhm. That's cool. So it's like, was it trying to like, I don't know, give like an Americana vibe or something, or like what was?
Uh Probably. And also too, like red is for sin, white
Yeah,
is like a purity, you know what I mean? Like
the church being
thing.
all white out,
And then
like
blue,
completely.
blue had different meanings because it was like smoke was very calm and like all this kind of stuff. But they also talked about how you see inside the juke joint is reddy orange hues, but when they're outside in the moonlight, it's like a bluish tone, very Twilight esque.
Catherine Hardwick, where's she at? She consulted. No,
It was
don't
a
give her
direct nod
credit.
to the blues in Twilight, actually.
That's so crazy.
I
Uh,
don't think you can make a post Twilight vampire movie without Twilight being part of the conversation.
Twilight's in every conversation when it's
You know
us.
what is so beautiful about the vampires of this movie, though? None of them are Confederate soldiers. That's great. I think that's
I
really great.
love that for us. Yeah, I really love
We
that
just like
for
get
us.
to skip right over that trope this time around.
Bless.
Oh, okay, that will come into play when I do my big thing when I talk about the vampires, but I'm still not ready.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think also this movie becomes so much richer when you like brush up on your history a little bit, because like there's so many like references. Obviously, like you're just saying, they were studying the texts of our past to recreate a rich community that was accurate, like accurately depicting like 1930s in the Mississippi Delta. Um, and yeah, like I haven't taken my history class about that era in a really long time. So I went through and I found this great article that's like a study guide almost, like going through and giving you the historical context to a lot of the main beats in everything that's going on. And that was really, really helpful. But yeah, I thought I was really interesting, like learning about the history of the Asian characters, specifically the Chinese characters in this story, and like how they had this like weird position in like the high, like the racist hierarchy at the time, because this is like Jim Crow era, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no slavery anymore. There's scare quotes everywhere. There's no like textbook slavery anymore, but god damn are there so many ways that
You can get
they're
around
trying to keep
slavery.
to yeah to keep slavery, but call it something different,
Like sharecroppers.
like sharecroppers, which is
Mm-hmm.
what all 90% of the people in this movie are. They're sharecroppers. And so like they
You
basically are
get
like
paid money now, but only in plantation money that you can only use at the
that's
plantation.
yes, that's what those coins were. Okay, that it didn't even say explicitly in my study guide, but that makes sense. Like you can't, you're getting paid in money that only works in this small community, and then they're also like made it in a way where you were almost always like indebted
Debt.
to the person who owns the
farm.
plantation.
We're letting you use
because-
that bag to carry the cotton, so we gotta pay you the bag rental fee every single day.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was just like
Well-
basically you could never get out from under that debt, so you had to stay there fucking forever, and you were like controlled by these quotas. They're talking about the quotas throughout this film. So there's that, and then the chain gangs as well.
Oh yeah,
And
prison. And
yeah,
that is still going on today
That's
in
modern day
that is still
Alabama.
going on
slavery.
today.
Because our dumbass governor, Grandma Ivy, built $1 billion prison with COVID funds, and now she needs to fill them. And so she's creating bullshit things where, like, fake marijuana, like Delta 9 and stuff like that, is now a felony in the state of Alabama, but regular marijuana is only a misdemeanor.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. Tell me how that makes sense.
Yeah, that shit is not changed.
Tell me how that makes sense. But
unfortunately.
she has to now fill her $1 billion for-profit prisons, and then she can loan out the prisoners for cheap labor.
I don't know if this happens in Alabama. I'm trying to Google it, and I am seeing maybe Missouri, but I know there are maybe still today even states that like use prison labor in like the governor's mansion.
Yep.
Like the governor has prisoners working there. So, like it is just woof.
It's so woof. And then another like historical caveat that I thought, not caveat, but like just detail that makes you understand Smoke and Stack even more is that like they're World War I veterans. And like the treatment of black soldiers in World War I was so fucking bad. They like went out there, risked their lives just like everyone else, received insane racism while they're out there.
Did more missions than most white soldiers because the government did not care about wasting their lives.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and then they come back and like, you know, maybe
there's no veterans benefits.
Yep. No veterans benefits. Like everyone else is being celebrated as a hero, and they're not being celebrated. They are being even more persecuted against because like if they got any sort of confidence from being like a war hero over there, like they come back to like nothing. So I think that really adds a layer to understanding Smoke and Stack and their behaviors. That and like their history with their father and all of that. Like they're really complex guys.
And then they go and work in the gangs in Chicago.
Yeah.
They say, I mean, they like, I don't know. I mean, presumably they're drafted because this is World War I, so long time ago. Yeah. But it's like they fought in the army, and then they, at one point, either before or after that, they say they tried to go to Mound Bayou, which was the black-owned area, and they wanted to, I don't know, presumably, like, have a less dangerous lifestyle there.
They tried to be upstanding citizens.
They weren't welcomed because of who their father was. And so it's like they've tried all of these different routes before it's like, okay, I guess we'll just steal from the mob if nobody wants to play nice.
Well, they said, if you're not going to play nice with us, we're not going to play nice with you. And they were kind of slay in the way that they handled it by stealing from the north side mobs of Chicago, which were the Irish run mobs, and the south side mobs were the Italian run mobs. And you can see the way that they're dressed by who's who, because like the hat that Monica's wearing is a very Irish style hat, and the fedora that Stack would wear is an Irish
or Italian.
No, yeah, it's an Italian. But you get little clues with that as well, because they're like, oh yeah, we have Irish beer and Italian wine and all that kind of stuff. And this happened the year after Capone was arrested.
Ooh.
And so in Chicago at that time, there was great gang like unrest, and
Unrest.
so
Yeah.
Sure.
they were constantly going after each other and stuff like that. So they were like, we're just gonna
sneak away and you
we're
guys
just
are
gonna
gonna
take
blame each
advantage
other.
of this, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna dip. Nobody's gonna come find us
Look.
in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
It's
It's a
just a
good
danger
plan.
of the
It could
biz to be in the
backfire,
mob.
but
Yeah.
Right?
You know people want to steal from you when you're the mob, especially other mobs. So, like, you guys, I'm not doing anything you don't have insurance for, basically.
I it's so upsetting because the historical context, it was just being a black person at this time, it was like literally nearly impossible to win or to have any to just
Upward mobility.
Yeah.
upward mobility to
No economic growth.
what's
No.
the like expand your means, is that the phrase? I'm not sure. But like they've done all of these different things. Smoke and Stack have gone all over the world, they said, and they have because they went to the war. And they've had such a horrible time. Even their home wasn't safe, where their father was like horrible and beating up Stack, and Smoke had to kill him. Like that whole thing is so sad. And they finally have come back home to I know they're trying to make money. I know they're businessmen, but like to create this juke joint that is like a place for
Their community.
levity and yeah, exactly. It's a place for the community to take a fucking breath, and like enjoy music and dance and all of these things, to just have some sort of like expression of the angst of living, and I think that is so like beautiful that that's what they came back to do. And then it makes it all the more tragic because like it was like fated to fail almost for a myriad of reasons. Like it just so sad watching this movie a second and a third time and hearing Stack be like, it has to be tonight, we have to do it tonight. And it's just like, no, don't do it tonight. And like them talking about the day putting it together, like in retrospect, like how the day putting the juke joint together was like the best day of their lives. Like,
And there's that montage at the end.
I teared up a little bit. I was just like, oh, it was a good day.
It was the best day.
It was the best day.
This is like a you will cry movie. Like I cry several times watching it.
Oh my god, there's so many times to cry.
This movie is so emotional.
Yeah, and oh my god, we haven't even gotten into the love aspect of why things are like so rough for Smoke and Stack too. Like
And Sammy.
Well,
but he doesn't
Sammy
come
is
in
just
brokenhearted.
figuring out.
Yeah.
He doesn't come in
brokenhearted,
brokenhearted, but like
yeah. I was like, what happened to Sammy? I'm like, oh yeah. Later.
he then lives with it. Know what I mean? Like
yeah. But like, oh god, okay. Also, let's just like talk about how fucking hot. What's her name? What's
Annie's
Pearline?
wife's name?
Oh, Wunmi Mosaku. She plays Annie.
Annie. That's Annie. Hell yeah. Absolutely the most
Stunning.
gorgeous woman. Oh my god. I loved her. I loved like the whole like I didn't know a lot about hoodoo before this, and I still don't know a ton about it, but I loved like her I loved that layer to everything. Where like she had this understanding of haints and things in like the supernatural realm because she is well versed in hoodoo, and that's how she like protects Smoke with the what was the thing called?
The mojo bag.
a mojo
The
bag.
mojo bag and stuff. But like the tragedy of the loss of their child too. Oh my god.
I know, and
just
her
so
being like,
sad.
I did all of this root work for you. It's how you've stayed safe and blah blah blah. And he's like, why didn't it work on our daughter? and you're just like,
Yeah.
that hit me in the gut. I like the first time I watched it, I was like, I was not expecting this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus. And so it's like all these things that are like so tragic, and then this is also like the sexiest horny movie of the
Yep.
year.
Yep.
There is no movie that you can't tell me there's another movie that came out this year with more pussy eating than this movie.
I love the pussy
don't
eating
believe it.
representation.
Anytime
dude.
there's an opportunity to go, this guy eats pussy, they're like, and we'll say it, and we need to put it on the record, and we're spreading this agenda, and maybe people at home, you should get a little inspired.
Here's the
Ryan
thing.
Coogler, thank you so much for
Thank
putting
you,
a
Ryan Coogler.
tutorial of how to eat pussy good
If
in
you
the
don't
movie.
know, you need to be eating her pussy, and if
Yeah.
you don't know how, don't worry, I'm
Don't
gonna
worry.
explain.
Let
Zach's
Michael
gonna
B.
explain
Jordan
it right now.
explain it to you.
Have you ever had ice cream before? You
But not
found
ice
the
cream
piece-
that you want to gobble. Ice
Yeah.
cream that you want to savor.
Savor.
You shouldn't be biting ice cream anyway. That's diabolical.
Unless they ask for it, just a little nibble. I'm just saying.
You can't
That's
lead
what-
with that though.
Remick says when he's doing the bow thing, he does say, like, I don't bite too hard. I
Hard.
won't bite too hard.
Yeah, see, I'm just saying. One of my favorite things, this might be TMI, I don't care.
Ooh.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
getting deep into pussy eating
I'll
right
be
now.
like
Continue.
at the gym or like be doing yard work and stuff, and I'll text Taylor and I'll be like, do you want your dinner seasoned or unseasoned? And he's always like, so if you go fucking take a shower, and I'm like, uncultured, unseasoned,
Wow,
white
it's like
as
he's
shit.
never seen the
And he
scene in
replies back,
Sinners where he's like, I just want to
I
taste
just want to
you.
taste you.
Listen, Sammy is not scared. Perline
Scared.
is even like,
She's like,
I
don't know
walked here. I
Oh,
got a
yeah,
shower.
you're
And he's like, I don't
sweaty.
give
And he's
a
like,
fuck, girl.
"Here's
That's a
dinner."
real man.
Incredible.
He learned
That's
something
real
earlier
man.
today and he'd like to try it out.
I'd like to try something. Real man.
Of course,
real man
this
shit.
is the best day of his life. He slays the Boots house down, performing the most beautiful performance of all time that literally wakes the dead, and then he eats pussy for the first time. Like, it's a really fucking good day, and
Here's
he hangs
my
out with his
thing.
cool cousin
He's
and
got
drives
insane
around in the
game.
car.
When he first meets Perline and she immediately is like, I'm married, and he goes, happily? Question mark.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh my
stealing that
God.
line. Stealing
It
it.
is
The game that
crazy.
this preacher boy spits, he is spitting he's spitting PhD level game.
Yeah,
It is
he's got the riz.
unbelievable. Seriously, I was like, he's a silver tongue in like 3 different ways.
It is crazy though, because she gives it right back so good. Because that's
Yeah.
where she's like, I'm married, and he says happily. She's like, careful, boy, you're gonna bite off more than you can chew.
can
And then she
chew.
turns and walks away, and like, not to sexualize and objectify these women, but they put both her and Hailee Steinfeld in these booty hugging dresses that none of the extras are wearing.
Yeah.
Just so that you can see that they're both cheeked up and they both look amazing. And
perfect.
I think that language was chosen very carefully because, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Let's also not talk about Hailee Steinfeld Mary in this movie when she sees Stack for the first time and he's like, I thought I told you I didn't want you. And she's like, and then you stuck your tongue in my coos and fucked me so hard. And I was like,
I thought you changed your mind.
I was like, oh my
Yes.
god.
I'd
I'm
already
gonna
seen
Google
the movie.
from now on.
When
Coos,
Monica
I
and
wanna
I
say that more.
went, Monica was out of town like all of April when this movie came out.
Yeah, so I was so late
So-
to the game.
I had to go without her. And I went with Erica and Roshane from Homies of Horror, and I made them go see it in 4DX, and it was, by the way, amazing.
Yeah, what was this movie like in 4DX?
It was incredible. The scene
Did it
where
rock you when they were fucking? Sorry.
that Erica was, I was just about to say Erica was very afraid that it was going to, but it did not. I swear to God, I think this is maybe a
Disappointing.
little diabolical. I think there was a moment in the cotton fields where they like piped in the grass smell, and I thought that that was a strange / interesting choice. But I remember
That
that
is
they could do that because they
diabolical.
did it when we saw Twisters.
Yeah.
So
Like soaring over
I think
California.
yeah, I think it's kind of like the beauty and the wonder of the natural landscape. But then I was also like, these are the cotton fields where they're forced to work. So they
Yeah.
are beautiful
Not
and they're
great.
shot beautifully. And I don't think that they are not shot that way on purpose, but it was like a little strange to be piping in grass smell to make you feel like you're there with them.
Tis a choice.
It's a choice.
It's a
But
choice
you know, there's
from
a lot of like
Regal
rumbly
Cinemas.
roads when you're in the car.
Interesting.
But
I really thought we saw it in IMAX, so I'm shocked that we didn't see it in IMAX.
I think we saw it regular. But
really
I could
thought we
check
saw
my
it
I
in
could check my
IMAX.
ticket. But what I was saying was that like obviously I knew everything that was happening because I'd already seen it. So I was like so excited to like look over at Monica and see her react to certain things. And I didn't want to like tell her up front that this was such a pussy eating movie. I just wanted her to
I'm
get
glad you
to
didn't tell
experience
me.
that on her
Thank
own.
God.
But it's such a beautiful surprise. And to look over and like see her get to see the dance scene for the first time. It's so
Oh
the
my God, I
music
thought you were
scene. It's so good.
I thought-
I looked over and I watched her watch Pearline's pussy get eaten. Is that what you thought
Thank
I was
God.
gonna say?
That's what I thought you were gonna say. I was like, oh my God. I didn't know it was being
And
perceived
she-
as I was watching sex.
And I recorded it and I've saved it for you now.
And now we're
No.
using it for
And here's
exclusive
the
content on the
footage.
Patreon.
That would be crazy. That would be perhaps a step too far.
You being like, wow. That's
He's
nice.
really good.
He's really good at that. Wow.
No,
Okay.
the dance scene is so special. It's
It
so
is
special.
so- Everything in the juke joint is
Yes.
so good. And I think it's like this peak high, and then it's fucking not anymore.
There is this really cool piece of trivia that I found, and let me see if I can keep finding it. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. The whole article is in here. There's so many pictures. I can't find it.
Is it about
Um,
the aspect ratio?
Okay, the aspect, well, we can talk about that while I try to find this. The aspect ratio thing kept tripping me out because when I watched it with Chelsea in the theaters, no, didn't notice at all. Did not notice at all. And
Too
then when I was
enthralled.
watching it this morning, I was like, wow, I'm really noticing the how thin and long this is. So suddenly I would really notice how thin and long the aspect ratio was.
Mm-hmm.
And I've now figured out that that's probably because it had just switched from being full screen. But I never noticed when it became full screen the
Yeah.
first time I rewatched it. On the second rewatch, I noticed how the music scene is when it happens. Does it happen before that? I don't
It
think
happens.
so.
I don't know if it happens before then
happens
because I wasn't paying
after.
attention. It happens like a zillion times
Mhm.
during the movie, and it's so interesting. The music scene in particular, it's like they're going into it, and so it expands. And then other times it's just like cuts between two scenes that are two different aspect ratios. But it's so fascinating the way that they're able to do it and have it feel so seamless so much of the time where it's like maybe you notice that things are different now than they were a moment ago, but you don't notice like the moment that things change, and it just brings like a different feeling to the different scenes where they can like really immerse
Well,
you or like pull back.
I think that at least I would love to go through and notice like every single time that they did it, but the two times that I noticed and clocked it and went back to watch it is for the music scene when things are, and it's really interesting. This actually like plays right into this. There it is. Haha, I found it. This reference I was trying to make this entire time. So there's a African American artist named Ernie Barnes. And he made these like gorgeous paintings of like old juke joints. And it's like these great images of black folks like dancing and like having the time of their lives, very similar to this scene that we see in the music scene. And everything, they're like very elongated and have very long limbs, and it's like very tall. Everything is very tall. And so like that apparently was like part of the inspiration for that scene to get that look. but I think changing the aspect ratio and elongating the scene like literally does that to what you're seeing. So I thought that that was really interesting as well. And it also like because Preacher Boy is literally like punching through the barrier to heaven essentially. He's like breaking through the realm of our reality and into the supernatural world, breaking through time and space. I love that it breaks through the aspect ratio that we've been seeing before. I just think it's fucking brilliant. Um, and then the other time they do it is right after what is the name of the grocery store owner?
Bo?
Bo and
Not Bo
Grace.
Chow, Grace. That when Grace like God love her, screams, "Come in here, you fucking bastards!" or something.
Motherfuckers!
You're
Yeah.
motherfuckers, yeah. The next time the aspect ratio changes, or at least the next one that I noticed, was as the vampires are entering the juke joint. It expands and it stays that way because the barrier has been broken again. They do it a whole bunch of times because I think they like do it whenever the barrier is broken. There was a barrier between the vampires and the humans, and that was the door to the juke joint. And then once that's broken, the entire rest of the time, that entire fight scene with all the vampires up until Remick dies, is all in the larger aspect ratio. I just checked.
The other one that I remember, and that I also have in my notes, I thought maybe there would be a second one in my notes, but it's the same one, is at the end of the movie when Smoke is like sitting with his unrolled cigarette that his hands are too shaky to roll because again he is a war veteran.
PTSD.
And Stack used to roll his cigarettes for him, and you saw that in the beginning of the movie.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but when he's sitting there and then he tugs his mojo bag off and he's like having the memories of them all like preparing for the day, it like cuts between the narrow, wide aspect ratio of him sitting there and then to a much more like square, full aspect ratio of like the memories of them getting ready for the day. So that is like specifically
That
giving
feels
that
similar,
scene a
though.
different feel of like we're going like into his head kind of thing.
That makes sense too, because it's also him like remembering those who are gone and they're in that other realm now. So I think that that can go with the theory as well. Another like cinematography thing that I noticed in this that was incredible, and it's one of those things where like once you work on a film set, you find out how hard it is to do one of those fucking continuous tracking shots that they do like 400 times in this movie. And so it is so much more fucking impressive to see that. I literally like just was on a set like a day ago and we did one of those continuous shots, and it took so many times and so much choreography between the like cameraman and the director and everyone and the actors, and everyone has to
And if
hit
there are
their
extras,
cue. And there's like 4,000 extras in this. And I think the first time that I recognized that they did that was with Grace when she walks from
when they have
one
Lisa
grocery store to
first,
the other. Oh, it's Lisa. I'm sorry. It's Lisa, and then Grace walks back. And I didn't clock this the first time that or any of the first couple times I watched this movie, but there's two stores because they're segregated. Duh. I just like, I don't know. I was focusing on her walking, and so I wasn't like noticing all the details. But like, they start
on the
off
black side of the
On the
street.
black side.
on the black side of the street, and then she walks across, and then like you can hear in the background, I had subtitles on, like these white people like saying fucking horrible racist shit
That they still
um
fucking say to this day.
yeah.
Why are they're just shooting each other? Like blah 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 blah.
It was like very like fucked up, and I was like, oh, I didn't notice that before either. It's just like there's so much detail that goes into making you feel and understand the atmosphere, the horribly like negatively charged atmosphere at that time in the 1930s. So I don't know, my hats off to everyone who worked on this because like the details just go crazy and like some of them you can't like really notice until you re-up your history a little bit and then you pick up on all those details and see just how much they did. So I can't recommend doing a little research time and then watching it again more if you haven't done your rewatch yet and you're listening now. So
Ryan
just a little
Coogler,
recommendation.
next project, Sinners Making of documentary, please.
Seriously.
Well, this was shot on film and some of it was shot on the IMAX film and all that kind of stuff. And he talked, I don't know what it's on. He talks about the actual film it's on YouTube or something. I don't remember where it is.
Vimeo.
I don't remember like whose platform it's on though.
Sorry.
Like it's not his. But he talks about
I
how
saw it on Vimeo.
oh, of course. But there's another
I'm sorry.
continuous scene, the music scene at the juke joint, like with all the
Yes,
future
that
and
is
stuff.
also
Yeah.
so
And
many extras. Oh my
but
god.
it's the scene is like 2.5 or like it's like over 2.5 minutes long. And IMAX will only do like the film that they shot it on will only
like
allow
the
you
reel.
yeah, to do like a minute or like 40 seconds of like continuous things. And so if you're watching it really closely, they'll splice it together with some other stuff and like a digital scene of something where it's just like shots of the floor or like not
Some
people
embers.
some like not people, and then they like were able to switch the film and like continue on, and I was just like mad props to Ryan Coogler because like my brain wouldn't think of that shit. Know what I mean? Like that's true art.
That
It's
scene.
so beautiful.
It's just
Yeah, let's dive into
so
that scene more.
incredibly special to witness.
Yes.
Like it's so it'll give you chills. It's so beautiful the way that they like bring in the Annie voiceover, or is it
It's Annie's voiceover.
yes, she repeats the opening monologue at that part, and we also get the like intro to it sort of from Delta Slim, Delroy Lindo,
I love
as
Delta
he's
Slim.
explaining that like the blues are us, the blues are from our home. Like this is the he says, blues wasn't forced on us like that religion. Nah, son, we brought this with us from home. It's magic what we do. It's sacred and big. And then Annie goes into that monologue again from earlier where she talks about how in ancient Ireland they had the Philly, and in Choctaw land they had the fire keepers, and in West Africa they had the griots. And these people are all able to just like connect to this realm through the beauty of their music. And it's like already so stunning gorgeous when they're like, here are the people from the past. We can connect with our ancestors. We can connect with like our traditions and all these things that we carry with us, even if we weren't allowed to connect with them as our people were shipped across the ocean. And then the way it brings in that future guy on the electric guitar, and he's like, looks so fucking rad.
And you see
So
him
rad.
playing next
Crazy
to
hard.
Sammy, and then it goes into and this was something that I found like so cool. We see that, and then it like pans over, and then you see a DJ, and again, it literally
boy.
says like run that preacher boy or something like that, and then
Yes.
they sample so many like different songs that are like mixed into it, and you see like I think they have like a blood and a crip like dancing in different like areas, and
there's like a break dancer, there's the twerking girls in the kitchen,
there's the ballerina there, and you have like traditional Asian dancers as well as like black dancers, and I was just like it was a little jarring at first.
Yeah, there was someone from the Peking Opera that was like one of the things that was there. And then what was the other one? Oh, there was like a depiction of Sun Wukong in there too. So those were
And the
just some
Monkey
of
Man.
yeah, the Monkey Man. That's who that is.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like some of the historical things. I loved the woman with the scarf arms.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so beautiful to have both of those cultures there in that minute too, because not only is it like a plot point for why Remick is interested, because it's not like Sammy can reach into his own past and future only. It's just like it connects us to like the beauty of the world and magic and music in general as like a through line for just how people tell stories and connect and share emotions and journeys. But it felt like just so special to really show like these people are a community here together.
Yeah, and because they are there witnessing the music, they too are transcending and touching the past and the future at once. Which is super super cool. Like just so interesting. That's the thing about this movie. Like I can understand maybe if you're a person who's not like me at all, that like the tone of this movie might have been like weird or annoying for some people, but it is described as the genre as drama, fantasy, and horror. And
Mm-hmm.
the fantasy is so clear in this. There's so many fantastical aspects of this film, and just like some of the plot points are fantastical, and like I don't know. It and like some of the tone is like not melodramatic because that sounds like I'm saying a bad thing. But it like is heightened, maybe. Does that make sense? Like it's not hyperbolic, but like I don't know. There's a lot going on. But
It's
like this is
intense.
yeah, it's intense. But there's like fantastical aspects of this movie that go beyond the fact that there's fucking vampires in it. It's just like tonal as well, and I love it. I think it really really works because like it works with the hoodoo and like the history, the folk history of all the many different cultures that we're discussing in this movie, in Black culture, in
Well,
Irish culture, in Native culture. Like I love that they brought up like those three in particular and all having these different characters in their folklore that have this ability through music to break through time and space and all of however you want to say it. And I love, and they do so many interesting parallels to like what happened to Irish people and what happened to Black people too. And I think that's really, really, really interesting. And I want to dive into that more. But what were you going to say, Sydney?
oh, I was gonna say too, this like the setting, right? Like it's in Clarksdale, and I'm sure y'all have heard about Robert Johnson, the blues player that is
Yes.
said to have like sold his soul to the devil at a crossroads so he could play. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was supposed to have happened in Clarksdale. Like
Yes.
that
I'm
is
glad
all
you
that
brought
kind
that
of
up.
stuff. So like you have, and I don't know about y'all, but in the South there are places that just like New Orleans is one, Savannah's one of them that have these just like supernatural spiritual
The veil is
energies
thin. The
They're
that
so
veil is
enmeshed in the
thin.
culture.
yeah, and
They've
so
got the
like
liminal space aspect of it.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so having all of the supernatural fantasy stuff is like it just feels natural. Like it doesn't even feel supernatural. It just feels like it's a part of what actually happens.
Well, that's one thing that I love about that scene too is like it's bringing in that like rich cultural history and tradition, and then it also has that shot of like the embers coming down and the roof burning away, and it's like
Mhm.
they're back to their primal selves of just like being outside and being together and being around the fire and singing and sharing
And
music and being under
moving
the
and
stars.
Yeah.
uh,
Apparently they like literally burned that whole set down.
I love that.
And Ryan was
Love.
like, "Yeah."
Burn it down.
um yeah, oh, I had something to say about that too. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought that that was interesting cuz it felt like a portent of the future or whatever, that like they were having this incredible gorgeous time at the juke joint and they're all together and they felt free, like just like they say later on in the movie, like for like a few moments we were free, or whatever the exact quote is. Like that's the moments, right? But then even then, these embers are catching and the whole place is burning down. So it's like, you know,
It
what's
strips
it
you
called?
down to your
Foreshadowing
barest self,
of
but it makes you you're able to be seen now by everything that's out there.
exactly. And it's just so tragic too that the moment of joy is the tinder that starts the fire of their downfall, because like they're having this like euphoric moment, everyone together, and then that is what calls the vampires to them. Like, ooh,
The way you zoom out
give
on that
'em-
scene just to land right behind Remick and Mr. and Mrs. KKK.
yeah.
The whole scene about how Remick and Mr. and Mrs. KKK come about is so good because it's daylight, he's running, the Choctaw vampire hunters are
Slay.
after him.
Give me a movie about them too, by the way.
I
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sydney.
Is that going to
And
be the plot of
Sinners
the
too.
new Taylor Lautner show? No, that's a werewolf hunter thing. I'm sorry, I got
Yeah.
confused.
But we see vultures. It's the first time I
Thank
think
you.
we
I
see
wanted to bring this up.
vultures in this, and vultures always mean death.
Yes.
Death is coming, like they're looking to eat, something's dying, like vultures are never a good sign, right? And
It's not the first time we see them, though.
yeah,
There are two vultures the first time that we see Smoke and Stack outside of the mill.
Are
The
they
two
hovering
in the background?
Are they circling?
They're not circling the mill. They're kind of off in the distance still. So like they could be over
Yes.
that house. I don't know, but
No, okay, so they're vultures 3 times at least. I didn't notice that first time.
yeah.
But like so you see them in the distance with Smoke and Stack. Then you see them circling around the Mr. and Mrs. KKK house.
And then they're at the juke joint.
Once once the Choctaw folks are like, oh, later,
You don't
we're
wanna
not
roam?
gonna
Alright.
fucking die. We're gonna
not
fucking
sticking
go.
around. Yeah.
Like literally, Godspeed. I hope you don't die. Like you.
Everybody on Twitter was like, I love that they just minded their business. They're
Yeah,
just
they're
like,
like,
we're
it's
not
not
dealing
worth
with
it,
this.
girl.
Not our
This is
problem
not our
anymore.
problem.
I'm not
We
gonna
tried to
die for
help.
these white
I gotta
people,
go.
and they
Right.
shouldn't. But like they're biking. Okay, they're not on bikes.
They're
They're
on
riding
horses.
away, and the vultures had been circling, but at that point they are landed on the house, and at that point the dad, Mr. KKK, is already dead. So like the vultures have landed. So like the death has
It's
come upon
game
them,
over.
and then like when you go see the juke joint later, the vultures are there. The vultures are at the juke joint. So I
Portending
loved
death wherever
I
they
loved
fly.
that. I was like, as a birder, I appreciate this.
I love this detail.
But okay, now it's time. Now it's time. Here we go. I think it's interesting that in this movie, vampirism cures racism and xenophobia? Question mark.
Well-
like they literally like all share this like hive mind once they become vampires, and then they're like fucking hippies. They're like, let us break bread together, we are all one. I speak Chinese now, and I understand everything that you've gone through, and you understand me. And I was in the KKK, now I'm not. Now I love you guys. Like, what? Did you notice that?
That was, I think, because they share a hive mind. You have Remick, who they're most like a lot of it they're getting from him. And I saw somebody on TikTok like make a point, and they were like, he is so old that I don't think racism is like something that he actually thinks about as much, because like to him, like he like doesn't.
It's a different conception, I think, because it's very.
Like,
I mean,
yeah.
it wasn't framed in exactly the same way, but like the colonization of Ireland shares a
Yes,
lot of the
very
same
similar.
things.
And like how like Catholicism came in and destroyed like the Celtic culture that they
The
had
pagans.
there, and then like Christianity did a similar thing to African culture for like Black people. Um, so
And
there's a
Irish,
lot.
they kind of had the same thing with the sharecropping stuff. That's like what the potato
Indentured
famine
servitude.
was not that they didn't have food, it was that England was taking all of their food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and they
there's a
were only
lot.
left to eat potatoes.
Yeah, I honestly think because okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Because like I can't get into the mind of a KKK person. I can't go that far. That's too hard. But like you don't lose who you are when you become one of these vampires. Not necessarily. And let me argue why. Like you see Mary and Stack both like show authentic emotion towards their loved ones who aren't yet vampires. Like the when sorry, spoiler, Smoke has to kill Annie because she's about to turn. Like they're gutted by that. And there's that moment later on between Smoke and Stack where like we'll get to that, but like Stack is Stack in that moment. He is like sharing he's not being manipulative or whatever. Like he's being like thank you for protecting me my whole life, you know? Like they're still like who they are, but then they just have this like greater knowledge, I guess. And so like that's what was so confusing to me. I was like, why did the KKK people go from being KKK people to just being like homies with everyone? And I think it's like I don't know, because they can now like experience the experience of everyone else around them in first person, and so it breaks down the barriers, I guess. It doesn't make total sense, but I was like flabbergasted by the outcome of vampirism in this movie. I was like, whoa, this vampirism seems kind of cool.
I think part of it, I think they remain themselves and they retain their identities, but I definitely think he has like influence and sway. So I think he is kind of like
Definitely.
putting that into, I don't think it's necessarily just that they like witnessed his whole life experience and they're changed by it and they've radically transformed their worldview. I think
Mhm.
he's basically like pushing onto them, like, here's what we do around here. This is what we're doing. We do love and fellowship here. We're accepting all kinds of people here.
Mhm.
And I think you can kind of see that in their, choreographed song and dance numbers, where it's
They
not
just
like
love to sing
they're,
now.
but it's like they do like the little dips and stuff all at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, I think to some degree he is puppeteering them in certain
Yeah.
moments and
Yeah.
scenes. I think as his pack grows, either he can only do so much on everybody at once or it needs to be more focused. But I certainly think that he is pulling strings and projecting wants onto them because I think that, everybody selfishly wants their loved ones to be with them forever. And of course, Mary and Stack, Mary especially, who really calls out for Annie, is going to like have a heartbreak over the fact that she's not going to get to have Annie in her life anymore. But also, if she knew Annie, she would not want Annie to be a vampire. You know what I mean? Even if she's like, I want us to
Yeah.
be. So it's like,
Mhm.
first, some of it is him, some of it is them. And then, like, once he's gone, I think there's a lot more room for them to just be them.
Them.
But they feel his pain. Like, they got into that. So
Yeah.
while they're all in one big hive mind together, he's the one with the red eyes who's running the show. So he is
That's true.
certainly coming in with an agenda.
I think though I can see I don't know. I was just putting myself in the shoes of a character who was faced with vampirism in this scenario, and it was like to enter a society where you are like to
Equal?
enter vampirism and and leave behind the society that oppresses you and be outside of society because you are no longer, once you join like the supernatural club, you're outside the realms and the laws that dictate the human race, you know. That is very enticing
He
in
gives a
this
really good
climate in
pitch.
1932. He gives a really good pitch. It fucking worked on me. Look at me. I'm like,
Also,
whoa,
too,
I'm doing it. Let's go. And also, like, that is, oh, this is horrible. That's like the only way that Stack and Mary could ever be together in this time. Like, is to become like, yeah, I'm sure there's caveats or whatever, but like with the society as it was at that time, like that's the only way that their love story could have turned into a love story is like
yeah, they
for
had to
them
make it to the 90s.
to make it to the fucking 90s and get their fucking sick ass outfits and their lollipop and their fucking ring that says
Their
stack
style is
on it.
so fucking fun, but also they look so crazy hot.
I
They look
know.
crazy hot. Whenever Michael B. Jordan does anything with his hair that's not just a buzz cut, he just is like, it's so sexy. I don't
He's
know.
got such pizzazz.
He's
Yeah.
got such He can rock anything. He also rocks the buzz cut. Don't get me wrong.
Here's the thing. Michael B. Jordan like has one of those kind of timeless faces. Like there's some people that have like Instagram face, know what I
iPhone
mean?
face, yeah.
Yeah.
And like
He's
Keira
really-
Knightley, know what I mean? Like she's always gonna be able to like fuck with a period piece. So like it Michael B. Jordan looks like we've obviously seen him in current things where he's playing like current time now, but it's like, yeah, no, he fits perfectly in a 90s film. Oh no, he fits perfectly in a film set in the 30s. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you think he had to fight in World War II?
What? Michael B.
No,
Jordan?
No.
No.
Stack.
Jack!
It took me a second also, Monica.
He lives
no,
outside of the
yeah.
bounds of society, Sydney. I just said that.
Yeah,
I
but do you think
think,
maybe he was
um,
like, maybe this will be perfect time for me to go hunting because like everybody's already kind of dying, nobody's gonna
Well, maybe
suspect?
he did that.
That's a question about the vampire lore in this movie, I think, is like we don't ever see them hunting for food necessarily. We see him building a community, and we see it all in one night. So we don't really know like what the necessities or bounds of being a vampire are beyond this. And I'd be very
Yeah.
curious to know more. But I do hate that drool.
The drool I thought was a hilarious choice. I thought it was literally a riotously funny
so
choice.
gross to me.
It's
I
so
love
And then
funny.
she's
the
like, "Do
mouth
you want to
spitting.
taste?"
I thought that
I was
they took
enthralled,
something that was
but-
very disgusting, which was her big, stringy, nasty spit, and then
Gooey
immediately
spit.
made it hot, steamy,
Yeah.
sexy, sexy, sexy. I was into it. Even her like this gnawing on his neck. That was hot too. Everything was hot going on. They're a really hot couple. They should date unless they're married to other people. They are. You just said that.
Hailee Steinfeld just
Damn.
recently got married.
Okay, good for her. I'm glad she's happy. I hope Michael B. Jordan is also happy. I don't know what's going on with his love life. Yeah, okay. One more thing about my vampire utopia where there's no xenophobia and there's no racism.
Mhm.
It's all well and good, but if you have to like have your agency taken away from you to join that society, does the utopia part of it actually exist? I don't
Well,
think
Remick
so.
is kind of doing. He's just another white man coming in and colonizing these black people and
For
just
sure.
packaging it
that's
in
true.
a different way and trying to like take like their culture
Appropriate.
for his own wants and desires and personal needs. So he's like
That's
saying,
true.
I'm so like you, they did it to me, but he's
let me do it
also
to
doing
you.
it to you.
Yeah, that's
These
true.
people don't need another white man savior.
Delroy Lindo.
I love
He
him.
can just go buy all of the Ku Klux Ku Klux Klan. Excuse me, you said that really wrong. And turn all of them into nice people like that. That part works.
I do worry that that could backfire. No, we just
He is a
have
very
We don't need
strong
clan
man.
KKK
vampires.
vampires.
Nobody
I
wants
want
that.
free love to overpower all of their racism and just delete
Well,
it.
I do think part of that, and I wanted to say this before and then I forgot, is that because he's so old, he just has like such a long history that compared to their relatively short life on Earth, it just like squashes them down, I think is part of it.
Oh, okay. I can see that too.
But re the colonization, Delroy Lindo, who again plays Delta Slim in this movie, he said that he didn't see the film as a horror movie at first. When he read the script, it seemed like it was more of like a colonization kind of story. What was written on IMDb trivia was that he interpreted the story to be about what happens when a community is infiltrated and turns on itself. And Ryan Coogler really fucked with his reading of it, and they like kind of worked on the script together at parts. So they really were able to have like some input on that. But what I think is the thing about vampirism is what Annie says, and we see it with Remick, is that like, okay, yes, he's pitching it as this like peace, freedom, love, fellowship, we all get along, we're all equal here, we all love each other and care for each other here, and it's actually really wonderful and beautiful. What Annie says is that the way vampirism works is that the soul is trapped in the body and it can't leave, and you can never be connected with your history and your ancestors again. And that is the driving force for Remick seeking Sammy out, is like he misses that, he longs for that, he's like hunting down someone who can give that to him.
To be
Maybe he was
understood.
he's being chased by members of the Choctaw tribe. Maybe he was looking for the firekeeper of their tribe before to try and like access point
I
that
think
way.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but he talks about it. He's so like, I just want to experience and see and be with my people again. He's not even on the same continent anymore. All he wants is to have that connection. And because of this curse of vampirism, he's cut off from it. And so it is very clearly, even as he's pitching it as this wonderful thing, it's clear that there's like tragedy here.
No, totally. You've convinced me. I was
I don't
really
want to do
falling
it
for
anymore. Okay.
I was
think
like,
there are perks
I'm
and there
gonna
are
be a
minuses,
vampire. But no,
like with
'cause,
anything, there's like pros and cons. It's like
Well,
just make
I
your own
mean,
personal
that's-
list.
to like reaching peace through violence is not peace. I don't know. Like, well, that's not true. That's not true. You have to fucking cause a ruckus. But like
You gotta punch the bully.
You literally have to like take something from these people to and change them at a biochemical level to like have them join his crew. And he's also just like trying to create this community that he has lost by forcing these people into his world, you know. So like there's no consent, so it's not peace. So it doesn't work like that. But I was just very impressed that he turned those nasty KKK members into folk singers so
It's
quickly.
a beautiful
Beautiful,
pitch.
chill folk singers. I was very compelled by that. And I was like, their little song is so sinister.
Here's the thing. That song is sinister on so many levels. One, they're
Yeah.
vampires. Two, white people used to eat black people in the South. Like that is like a part of our history that like nobody talks about, but it is actually true. And so the fact that they are three white people singing this song to them is so sinister. And then also the fact that they're vampires singing that song to them
We'd
is
eat his body, but his body isn't fit for eating.
so
And
sinister.
also, they don't really seem like they're sucking blood as much as gnawing on them bitches. So, like, maybe these vampires are more carnivorous
literally-
than just blood searching.
They remind me of cookie cutter sharks, which I just learned existed
Yeah.
from
Googling.
TikTok.
Oh my god.
They're so funny looking.
Yeah. and they will like. I saw a TikTok about how the U.S. Navy had to redesign their ships because cookie cutter sharks kept taking bites out of it. And I was like, honestly,
Ugh, they are like
slay.
cookie cutter sharks.
They're kind of
Ugh.
cute.
They're really cute, but their bites are giving me the heebie-jeebies. Like,
Yeah,
did I
they're
just
gnar.
develop tryptophobia from cookie cutter shark bites? Maybe. That'd be a
Um,
bad way to go.
but also the song that Remick and the KKK couple sing when they get married that first time is an old like Irish
Mm.
Scottish
That one's
ballad.
beautiful.
Yeah, that one
They
was
when
And
they
really
do the Pick
beautiful.
Poor Robin Clean and they're like, they're really good. I was like, okay, sure, but what a weird song. And then they
song,
do the Irish Heather, blah blah blah, and it's like, ooh, okay, I
yes.
get it.
And that song to me is because like again, how would the two KKK people know this song? Know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
that to me is Remick's like human side leaking out
Mm.
and being
Mhm.
like, he's looking like this whole thing is him looking to connect with his past and his
Yeah.
ancestors from, you know, the 4th century or however old he is. And so that is just him, I think pouring
It's so
out.
mournful.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Mary, whose mother, they just had to bury
Ugh.
the day
Literally,
before,
Oh, thank you for bringing
exactly.
that up.
she like just gets hit with it and all this kind of stuff. And even the gold that he gives her, he's like, this is from like another time and blah, 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 blah. And it's,
They
I
look
don't know.
like doubloons.
Right? It's just like, who's giving just gold coins in 1930 something?
I feel so bad for Mary because I too have been tempted by a cult while grieving the death of my mother. It's a very vulnerable time.
Scientology?
Yeah, it was Scientology. No, I had my wits about me, but they did talk to me for like 45 minutes and I was just trying to get them to give me a book for free and they wouldn't give me a book for free. And then my friend Duncan, what they do if you go on a tour of the Scientology Center, they separate you from your
Yeah,
friends and
you're
they
alone.
put you alone with an auditor. So just be prepared. You think you're strong. I was strong. I was laughing inside the whole time, but we got out and Duncan was like, I thought they got you. And I was like, I know that I'm in a vulnerable spot, but I was trying to game this man and I did fail. But I did fail, but I really tried. I was like, "Oh, money's tight right now. Could you just give me the book for free?" And they wouldn't do it. Ugh. They could have
Fucked
gotten me.
up.
If I'd read the book, I probably would have gotten it. But yeah, she's like what do you mean you're gonna heal save my mom? She's already dead. What are you talking about? That part was so creepy. That was very effective for me. um
Well, it's
Also,
also
oh sorry, keep going.
really interesting to you see how they send Mary goes out to see if they're willing to like come spend money because they realize the juke joint isn't gonna make money because a lot of these people don't have
Yeah,
real
they only
money.
have the
They have
plantation
the wooden
dollars.
plantation money.
Mhm.
And they essentially, get inside thanks to Mary because they're looking for money. And then at the very end of the movie, they get inside the club that old Sammy is with money. Know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because the bouncer's like, hey, these people out here, they said like they have a couple $100. Like, do you care if they come in? And he's like, yeah, sure, bring it on.
And then
Yeah.
when the guy's like, "Come on in," and you can see him be like, as he looks over to the
Yeah.
door.
I
Hmm.
loved all the shit with the like having to be invited in. I thought that
The
was so good with cornbread. Oh my god, I love
Some of
cornbread.
this,
I just
some
was taking a shit.
of some of this stuff, like the vampire gives zombie a little bit. Like the hive
'Cause
mind
of
is
the-
normally in like zombie movies, and then the fact that they're like bunkered down and they're fighting, know what I mean? Like that's all very zombie trope.
And the gore was very like
Zombie.
undead. You know, they're like their jaws are getting ripped off by being shot and stuff, and they're getting back up. So they don't look like sexy, slick vampires like we're used to. Because a lot of the time, like, I don't know, they're impervious in a different way. It usually doesn't go for them. They usually don't get shot in the fucking face in vampire movies, so they keep looking hot the whole time. But not the case. Not with Coogler. He's giving them it all. I do really love the garlic scene. Because not only is this movie scary, poignant, emotional, horny, it's also super fucking funny. And it's mostly from what's his name? Slim.
Delta Slim.
Delta Slim. He is so fucking hilarious when he eats the garlic and he's just has like a full blown freak out. And he's like, I'm sorry, I drank too much and
I just
really
don't like
hurt my
garlic.
tummy."
And there's that moment earlier where he's like, "You guys smell something? I think I shit my pants." And it's like, it's not exactly my style of comedy, but it feels very in character. And so I think it works.
I thought it was very funny. I also loved the horror of the part where they accidentally put that man out to die because they thought he had already been bitten. There's
Mhm.
just so many like different ways they make this movie horrific.
One thing that I love is all of the different like cut scenes. There are so many good like transitions and cut scenes. After Mary has gone outside to talk to them and she got spooked and is like pulled the gun and is going back in and she turns away and then you see Remick like jump and then it cuts midair and it's like Perlene jumping up on stage. I think that one's such a good cut and it's such a good scary moment.
Yeah.
And also like having her attack happen off screen like allows you to pick up when she comes in and she like needs to wait for Cornbread to welcome her in. It's
She
just
does
it's
it
so
so
well done.
seamlessly. Cornbread was
Yeah,
really
oh my
bad at
God.
it.
Yeah,
Well, they were
Cornbread's
kind of onto them
bad.
by then a little bit. Annie was paying
Yeah.
attention.
My
Um,
favorite thing in this movie is that when all of this happened and Annie was immediately like vampires and everybody was like, yeah, anything that Annie says, that's probably so
She's
true.
fucking
Let's
right.
go with it. And I was like, that's how you're supposed to treat your woo-woo spiritual friends. They fucking know.
she's the expert.
Like I've told Taylor numerous times, I'm like, if I say a place is haunted, you
It's
fucking believe
haunted.
me. I say there's vampires. I say we spent a large amount of time over 4th of July zombie apocalypse prepping with my father
As you should.
and
Smart.
creating a plan.
The
So,
time
you know,
for it.
we're ready.
I feel like that's on the horizon. So
The
yeah.
plan,
It's
step
gonna
one,
happen.
kill yourself.
Oh, I told them, I go, I'm immediately killing myself. Y'all got
Step two,
Step
you guys
two,
can have my gun once I'm done with
create
it.
a plan that doesn't involve Sydney.
right.
A little side note before we go on to something else. The actor who plays Remick, Jack O'Connell, is also Sir Jimmy Crystal in 28 Years Later. I'm obsessed.
saw that accidentally somehow at some point, or I saw that somebody was like, he was in Sinners, and I was like, after seeing 28 Years Later, and I was like, that guy was in Sinners? Who was he? And then I looked it up. I literally could not believe it was the same person.
Absolute
He's also
chameleon.
in
He's
Skins.
all up in the... Oh, he's the Skins one.
Yes, and I just want to say the Skins cast cooked. They ate, left no crumbs. Like
They
love them.
are the upper echelon of film stars at this current time, it seems. Nicholas Hoult is everywhere at all
Dev
times.
Patel.
Dev Patel, hottest person alive currently.
I can never pronounce his name. The beautiful man from Nope.
Daniel
and
Kaluuya.
Yes.
Is it his name's Daniel, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Like, or was it David? It was a
No.
DA name.
It's Daniel.
I
I'm
love
like,
him.
hell yeah.
I want to watch it. I saw a very compelling
Have you never seen
like
Skins?
clip of Effie's face from Skins, and I was like, I should watch it. She's so hot.
Caius Godelario.
Yep.
That
No,
unfortunate.
I've never watched it. That's what I'll start now because I fell off on Supernatural.
I
needed a
love
break.
Skins, and it
You're supposed
just
to.
reminded me of my teenhood.
I'm gonna live the teenhood that I never had because I was straight edge in high school.
Gay.
It's too edgy
No, it
for
wasn't
her.
gay. It wasn't gay, Sydney. It was actually
Gay.
really straight. And it
Gay,
was really
derogatory.
derogatory.
Gay, derogatory.
Guys, do you know what you say when you say that? What is Hillary Duff say in the
Hillary
commercial?
Duff.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say?
saying?
Knock it off.
I love the
In
Hillary
this
Duff.
hat, I am her. Whoa. That felt powerful. Did you notice how they all knocked it off?
They did.
Yeah.
Whoa, it
Yeah.
worked. Okay, can I go back to something that I was saying earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, the cuts. I just want to shout out a couple more of them because they're so good. Some of them are like just funny. Like when Delta Slim is yelling at him and they offer him the beer and then it like cuts to them jamming and like having fun making music. That one is very cute. And another one that is like funny and cute is when he says, "We about to get it popping like fish grease boy," and then they cut to the fish grease just in case you needed a visual of what that looks like. But the jump one of Remick jumping and Pearline landing on the stage is so iconic. And then there's one
was
where
so good.
Cornbread is out by the tree and he's like being haunted and he has all of his little pee breaks as he's like freezing and holding it.
That was so funny.
Yeah, and then you hear just like Remick's little voice go peekaboo, and then it cuts to smoke like coming through the curtains really dramatically. And that's a really fun one. And then there's another one later where they're going to open the mill's doors. And then it's Sammy like busting through the doors of the church at the end. Like there are so many just like really beautiful transitions like that in this movie. I just the movie itself cinematography from a cinematic perspective.
The C words
let
are
me-
so hard.
Let me rewind. From a cinematic perspective, this is like one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. It's like so gorgeous to look upon.
It really is. It really is. It's stunning. And even on the small screen, I don't know.
Even on my computer, not even full screen on my computer, because I gotta have my notes
Mhm.
next to them so that I can be typing my notes.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It's so gorgeous. Oh my god. And like the way that this movie like comes to a close, it's so brutal because you fall in love with these characters so easily and so quickly. And I just want to like point out that like Grace death is so fucking brutal in this.
Yeah.
Like not only did she like accidentally send her husband to his death, that is not her fault. She didn't know there are vampires out there, but she's like, "Hey honey, go get the car," and then he gets vamped. And then her daughter's life is being threatened. And then she's just like, "Fuck it, we ball. I'm gonna kill everyone or die so they don't get to my daughter." But
I
she
don't blame
literally
Grace.
burns
Like-
on fucking fire, and she has to kill
Goes
her own
crazy
hard.
husband. She's killing Bo Chow. Oh my god.
Right after this movie came out, there was so much crazy discourse about Grace. And some of it was very interesting. And then some of it, I think, okay, there's like historic tension sometimes between Asian communities and Black communities, just by virtue of both being minorities. They can be pitted against each other, and the idea of the model minority. And it's like, why can't you be like these people who are assimilating in XYZ way and you're not doing blah, 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 blah. They get just like smashed against each other in ways that produce tension sometimes. So a lot of people right after this movie came out were talking about like, oh, how Grace is part of the community, but not in the community. See, she's so willing to like turn her back on them immediately for her own interests, blah, blah, blah. And then there was like follow-up discourse that I think Ryan Coogler liked some tweets that were more about supporting like Grace is making points that like if they don't do something to stop them, this is going to be a way worse problem as they go home and infiltrate all of those people's homes and get their family members and get everybody else. And then if they need to like keep it central and keep it contained to the best of their ability. And I think he really wanted to make a point about how those communities worked together and not against each other. And so I think it's like interesting conversation to have discourse wise, but there just was like so much about that in general. And I am so, do you guys have like thoughts about Grace's strategy or like what she did or like what was going on with her? Because I love that she was balls to the wall, like I will Molotov cocktail. And if they had just like let me go, I would have gone out there on my own, but they held me back. And so I guess I had to bring Bo, etc. inside. I wonder if there's a world in which she could have been like, come on in, Bo, you first, and then one at a time after that.
Right.
But
I think, like, I don't blame her. They actively threatened her daughter.
yeah.
I think she was in so much of a panic after her daughter being threatened, and her husband is now a vampire who also made pussy eating
Yes.
comments as well. Let's not forget that.
And it's like not
Can't
only
forget it.
is he part of that, but Remick now has, even if he dies, I think this is how it works. Remick is gonna have like his own memories of Bo's memories, at least. Like
Yes.
he can't re-access that consciousness, but everything that he saw is he can now
He
have
already
that like
knows.
memory of it cataloged. So it's not like he is not going to be able to go to Lisa's house now. It's not like, oh no, my connection to Bo is gone. Now I don't know where Lisa is. Like he already saw it. It's game over.
But I think she, like, again, I don't blame her for what she did. I think she was just in a panic, and they might have had wanted, like, maybe a little more time. And she was like, let's light this bitch, motherfucker. Like, we don't have time.
She literally was like, let me go and I will go outside by myself with my Molotov cocktail. And they're like holding her back and trying to put a hand over her mouth. I think they justified how they got her to that point.
I don't think it was an ideal situation, and I think maybe
That's
a
crazy.
couple more people wouldn't have died if they had been like, okay, now let's let them in, instead of them being like, fuck God, oh God,
Yeah.
grab the shit, you know.
Yeah.
So not ideal, but I get it. I've not been in this situation, so I can't tell you how I'd act.
Right?
I think
Everybody
I like to
acts
talk
different under
smack.
stress.
I
You
like to talk
guys-
smack as well. So, and she actually had the Molotov cocktail to pay it forward.
She was.
She's about that shit.
She was standing on business.
She said, fuck around,
Standing
find
on
out.
business.
Yeah, I think they do enough to justify why she behaves that way without everybody needing to be like she's a bad person for that. It's like, well, it's the heat of the moment.
can't believe that was
love
such
her
a
and I think she's
big
so cute.
Point of contact. Like, I didn't
No,
know
oh
that
my
was,
god,
like,
the
a
discourse
big
was like
thing.
ongoing right after this movie came out. It was very
See, I missed all of the
interesting to
initial
see.
discourse because I saw this movie 3 weeks late because I was at fucking Coachella and
No, who
everyone
could have
was talking
predicted?
about it. Everyone was talking about it. I was like, shut up. Don't say anything. Everyone was like, it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And I was like, well, don't say anything else besides that.
What if my
I don't
expectations get
wanna
set too
know.
high?
Right?
They were too high. I was a little underwhelmed the first time I saw it. And then I'm overwhelmed today.
Once
here
you
today.
open your heart, yeah. Sometimes it's just like you need to know what you're getting in for so that you can fully appreciate it.
Yeah, I still really loved it the first time, but I definitely had.
I
cried
couldn't
more
tell
today.
that you were underwhelmed. I'll put that on the record. You seemed perfectly whelmed to me.
I was like, wow, but I was expecting my whole life to change. Today it changed.
Today it changed.
Today was the day.
Okay, somebody else I would like to do discourse about is Sammy's dad. Because I'm so like I'm not really sure what I think about him. I kind of felt that there were some moments in the movie where he's sort of being compared to Remick a little bit. There's like a moment in
the part where
church.
he's like, Sammy, like it like jumps at the beginning.
The
At the
jump
beginning when
scare?
it's the dad being like Sammy, and then it's like Sammy, like cuts to Remick saying Sammy.
You're like,
That was pretty accurate. That's exactly how it says it.
That definitely sets up the comparison for sure. And then there's like in that scene in the beginning where he's saying like, drop the guitar, give me the guitar. And I think even I tried to take screenshots. Um, there's that really intense moment, obviously, when he comes in holding the guitar. I guess it's the same one, and it's the same line that I screenshot both times. But there in that line specifically, there's like so little light on his face that you just see like two little pinpricks of light at his eyes. And in so many other shots, he is very well lit and you can see other like planes and contours of his face. And I think in a different movie not written and directed by Ryan Coogler, you could maybe be like, Hollywood doesn't always do a good job of lighting dark-skinned people, but it does a fantastic job in this movie. So it seems very intentional that in that scene it's just like the two little pinpricks of light in his eyes like the vampires have. And so it kind of feels to me like he
Did you
is
take
this
a screenshot
other.
of this?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Did you send it? Yeah, because I don't remember what you're talking about. Sorry, keep going.
But it just it's so interesting to me that he's kind of positioned in this same way, and it makes sense in terms of like give up your identity and assimilate, like give up the things that make you you so that you can be part of the larger crew or community or whatever you want to say it. But I it's I mean it's also like the guitar was Smoke and Stack's dad, and so it can kind of have
His
the
brother.
same thing as like his brother, of like the Mound Bayou that they were saying, where it's like it's associated with this evil person, and so maybe he doesn't want him to have it because it's associated with this evil person, and that's part of it. But I'm so intrigued by the framing of them in conjunction to each other that's like set up by that intro, and I want to dig more into it, but I don't really know how to interpret it necessarily.
It's like there's like three paths before him. There's like the path, the righteous path or whatever, which is what his dad wants him to do and have him be the preacher boy that he calls himself. But like give up his art, it the creativity of his art, like because there's still music in the church, of course. But like he is an innovator, he is an artist. He wants to push past that and like find like the like pure unadulterated joy in music. So that doesn't work for him. And then the other path is with Remick. Remick wants to use his music for his own means. And so the third path is him like doing the music that he wants to do and literally innovating and changing music. Because if he's based off of fucking Buddy Guy, which he is, that man shaped blues music and like paved the way for Jimi Hendrix and everything. Like, what an influential man!
Pretty
And
guy,
his story
old
is
Sammy.
yeah, that's who plays Old Sammy. But literally, his story of his life is like incredibly similar to Preacher Boy's story. Like in this movie, like it's like I have a quote where I can read exactly what it is, but like it's crazy. So like he is born to innovate and be beyond that. So I guess it's like two different controlling forces, like the church that is stifling him, and then Remick, who would be changing him. So I guess that's where they're parallels, but they do seem so disparate because like Remick wants his music and the dad is trying to stop it. So it's not the exact same.
Let's not forget the blues was always considered the devil's music.
Yeah, because of that thing you
Well,
just
that's
said about
also
them making a deal with the devil.
it's so interesting because I went back in my notes and the quote that I wrote down from the dad in that scene at the end, he says, "You tell them my heart, my voice, my soul belongeth to the Lord." And that kind of reminds me of that quote that I read for you earlier from Delta Slim, where he is talking about like the blues wasn't forced on us like that religion. We brought this with us from
Exactly.
home. It's
Mhm.
I
magic
love
what we
that
do.
kind
It's sacred and big. So again, it is like that butting up against each other of like, can these two things coexist? Are they in opposition to each other? Is one of them a more like pure or true identity for you? Like his dad is trying to give him religion, but where did this religion come from? Is it something that was forced on them in the first place? And so he's like rejecting it and like embracing cultural traditions of the blues. That goes like all the way back to West Africa.
Yeah, I mean, like, that feels like if we're talking about the whole colonization thing, like what he wants to do is to like live in black art that has been like created by black people and not like obviously everything is influenced by other things, but like that it seems like pure black art. And then like the religious side is still coming from an assimilation perspective, and Remick obviously is trying to assimilate him into being a vampire and all
And
of the
Remick
other
has
things
that
that we were
line.
talking about. So I see that parallel for sure now. I didn't see it before, so thank you, Chelsea.
Remick has that line too. I didn't write this down, but when he's repeating the Lord's Prayer back to Sammy, he kind of says, like, yeah, they gave that to us too.
Too.
And
Yeah,
like, I don't hold on to
very
that religion anymore,
anti-religion.
but the words are still a comfort to me. So it's very interesting to see like
Yeah.
what we hold on to and what we bring with us.
And like people take a lot of comfort in the Lord and in religion,
Mhm.
and that's totally fine, but it is like a very strict set of fucking rules. And that's what Preacher Boy has been living by. Those rules, the rules of society, like his entire life. And he's trying to find freedom in every sense, freedom of expression, freedom to live, freedom to do anything as a
Freedom to
black man in this
exist.
time, freedom to exist as a black man in 1932 or whatever year.
And that's
Um,
the conflict he has with his dad in the beginning too, is like, I did it the way that you said. I woke up early and I got all of my chores and my sharecropping done for the day. So in theory, isn't this now my time to be hanging with my cousins and playing the blues and enjoying music and community? And his dad is like, no, not like
you're supposed to
that.
be in the Lord's house.
Oh my God. You're not
Now
And
doing it
you,
the way I said.
and here's my
yeah.
thing with this has always been my thing with religion. Like religion in itself is fine when you choose your religion, but it is bad when it is forced upon you, like forced upon something. And so like, you know what I mean? Like with the Irish, they had, Christianity forced upon them and all that
Mm.
kind of stuff. And, now, Sammy's dad is trying to force him into like all this kind of stuff, like give up your sins of like playing and enjoying the devil's music and whatnot, and like join the light and join the blah blah blah.
Yeah, no,
And
it's
Sammy does not want to let go of his busted ass guitar.
It's the only
oh,
thing
I
he
haven't
has
been
left from
there.
his perfect day.
I
This
know.
perfect day. Oh my
This
god.
perfect day, nothing
Okay,
standing.
They played that in the credits. Did you hear it?
I loved that.
A
Actually,
bluesy
I know they
rendition.
didn't because
That's
I
what
Like
stayed
Kim
for
he
the whole
plays.
Kardashian.
time.
The very end of the movie. If you stay
The
until the
second
end, there's
end
a
of the credits.
post-credit
It's
thing where he
not
plays
this little
"Perfect
light
Day"
of
by
mine. It's
No, no.
Koku.
perfect day.
Here's the thing: we don't actually see it, but in the first post-credit scene, that's what they played. Actually, yeah. We
Mm,
don't hear it, but that's
Oh.
what he played.
that
That's what he
makes
played at the
perfect sense.
concert we
Yeah.
didn't see. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, we're almost at 2 hours, so we're moving on.
So we're done with that. Yeah.
We've got to
No,
just take off
well,
4 minutes.
we just gotta
Monica.
talk about the end, the two ends real quick. Which is hard to do that real quick because they're so
They're so
emotional.
good.
But I mean, this movie is an emotional wild ride the entire time. Obviously, like we don't need to do plot by plot here. They fucking kill Remick. They distract everyone. I thought it
The
was cool.
burning to death looks so good.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool how like because I thought it was stupid when I first watched it. That I was like, were they not prepared for the sunrise at all? But like watching it again, I was like, okay, he got hit with the silver part of the guitar, and then everyone was paralyzed by that because of the hive mind.
was.
Like, I understood the hive mind better this time around. I didn't really understand what was going on the first time. I was like, whoa, they love to sing. Good for them.
Yeah, they really had
And
Annie
then-
say that line at one point where she's like, "They feel his pain," and it's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
file that away."
yeah.
Important.
And then he gets stabbed by smoke as well. But I did love that he turned into a tornado of fiery vampire motion. That was really beautiful.
I
And cathartic.
I like how there's like a multiple different callbacks in this movie, and I like how this was kind of a callback to Smoke earlier in the film stabbing that rattlesnake.
Got him.
That
That's
was
the snake and the title being sinners and the sin and the devil and blah blah
And
blah.
Smoke being the one who has to,
He's the real mercenary of the two of them. He's the real
Yeah.
soldier.
well, there was like their real names are Elijah and Elias, and those are biblical names, and people aren't really sure if it was like one person or two people. But it was like Elias is like the word of God. That's what it means. And like Stack is the smooth talker, the charmer, the stuff. But Elijah was the hand of God. So he's the like
He's the actor.
Oh.
that's what Elijah means, hand of God. And so he is the one that's more violent, more going, know what I mean? Like he's the one that stabs the snake. He's the one that kills the vampire. Like he's the
He
one
kills the
that
dad.
kills the dad. He's the one that kills the KKK. Like he's the one that has the trimmer from the war. Like all of this stuff. And I just, again, details.
They have
So
that
many
really beautiful
details.
scene when they're having their vampire tussle, and he's protected by his mojo bag from
Yep.
Annie, which I don't think I appreciated the first time I saw it, but this time I was so locked in on how it has like the vibrations around them to show that he's like being warded off.
Yeah.
But when he says something like, sorry I couldn't keep you safe, and then Stack says, don't be sorry, you always did. It's like,
I know.
Waterworks.
Ugh.
Jesus Christ.
And the
That's-
fact that he just couldn't, we obviously don't find out, but like, he couldn't kill him.
yeah.
Couldn't kill him. It's his twin.
Like, that's his brother. He couldn't kill him.
I love that he didn't kill him.
Yeah, because we
I
got them in
think-
fly ass 90s outfits. Slay.
Yeah, well, that's so important. I think it's, horror movies, not everybody can get a happy ending because somebody has to be the person who dies at the very least. But I think this movie does a really good job of making you feel to some degree satisfied with all of the main characters' outcomes in the
Mhm.
sense that like Smoke gets that beautiful moment after he's killed all of the KKK, especially stupid Hogsworth or whatever his name is, when
Yeah.
he gets his
I-
last cigarette. He's like, "No, I won't give you a cigarette," and then he like reloads his gun and he's like, "Okay, you can have a
Okay,
cigarette."
here's a cigarette. 'Cause
You
he
got
can't
a new full
roll-
clip. Okay,
He can't roll his own cigarette.
His own cigarette.
Ugh.
But when he has that really beautiful moment with like Annie in this like astral plane dressed all in white holding the baby,
And that's when she uses his real name for the first time, saying like, you can't bring smoke around the
Mhm.
baby.
she says,
and-
"Elijah, you put that cig out and you can hold her. I don't want any of that smoke to
Smoke.
get on her."
Yeah, and so like that's the first time like his name is used.
It's so beautiful. I think it's so beautiful that they are able to have their reunion in whatever you conceive of the afterlife to be. We know that their souls are
Together.
able to be together and reunited with the child that they lost.
They
That's
got
and
their
then,
own happy
happiest
ending.
Mhm.
ending that they could have because they were so obviously hurt and driven away from each other by the loss of their child. So that was their true harmony in death, which is fucking gonna
Mhm.
throw up from crying. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but they
Um,
get to have that, and then like Stack and Mary get to have fly ass outfits and be together forever and get to wait it out and live together. I mean, they're vampires, so they still can't go out in the sun. But they get to live more openly as like a couple moving through the world in the future and have that together. And Sammy gets to have this whole long life of playing and performing music. And his bar is called Perlene's because he's always remembered her and he's still honoring her
I
even all of
love
these years
that.
later.
I loved that so much. I just
And Sammy got
so
a
genius
cool
to
ass
have Buddy
scar.
die.
He got his cool scar and he got his replica guitar.
Yeah.
Dude, like Buddy Guy's like grandchildren are the reason that he said yes to this.
Yeah.
Like
isn't
they're
it
like
Good
so
for
my
funny?
my
them.
grandkids said that you're really cool, Ryan Coogler. So like, yeah, I'm down. He had no
It was
fucking clue what any of it was.
incredible. I'm so glad that he signed on. I'm so glad he agreed. It's like the perfect casting. His
Yeah.
voice is amazing. And it is such like a beautiful, smooth transition to have that. I mean, like I love the mid-credits scene where Stack and Mary come in, obviously. But just to have that like playing over the credits, just to sort of be like, and look at him living his life. He never let go of the guitar. He's still like just embracing who he is and the magic of that and getting to share that with people.
Mhm.
Also, I just want to say that the day of the flash forward, it's like October 16th, 1992, is also the day that Candyman, another movie about, like racial inequality and whatnot, set in Chicago, came out and was released.
Big day.
Whoa.
Big fucking day. That's so funny. I love that. What a
That was my
like
favorite fun fact about
interesting
this
I
movie.
think
details
I was
to
Stack
like,
and Mary
include.
just came from the theater.
yep, they absolutely saw
They
Candyman. They
absolutely did.
absolutely saw Candyman, and then they dressed up as it for Halloween the following year.
Yes, they
You
did.
know they did. Helen and Candyman.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I loved the after credit scene, even though it was like a little like in the my first watching, I was like, is the shark being jumped because of the sweater that Stack is wearing right now?
No, that
Because
sweater is
It's
so cool.
needed.
The sweater's
so
so
good.
good.
The
I couldn't
lollipop.
remember what his rings were called, his big stack. I just called it his stack bling. It's called a knuckle duster,
Love
apparently,
that.
and it
Yes.
is incredible.
It's so good. And I love the final I love their whole conversation. I love that they're like,
Mhm.
I don't like your electric shit as much, but I can't relive. Like that's like the theme of
Well,
the whole thing. They're all like trying to recapture the moments of their culture. All these vampires are so distant from they're so far from home, either through time or space or whatever it is, and they cannot get back to that feeling of home because it doesn't exist anymore. That's the problem with living forever.
ever.
Everything that you love is gone. So I thought that that was really impactful too, that they are like, can you just play some of the old stuff for me?
Well,
Like,
and
I want
also
to relive that feeling from their perfect day.
also too, there is like that's also the main difference of like Delta blues and Chicago blues. Who Buddy Guy is like a pioneer of Chicago blues, and
Yeah.
Chicago is there's more electric, it's a bigger band, it's all this kind of stuff, and like Delta blues is just like a harmonica, and
Stripped down.
yeah, it's very stripped down and more like intimate a little bit. And so him saying like, this stuff, like I want that intimacy of, the pain and all that good stuff that they had to experience to get the music.
It's also
Yeah.
just like, I don't know,
It's
I love
beautiful.
that it's so like we're still family and we still do retain some of our identity for them to circle back and be like, Smoke made me promise not to do anything to you, but you're getting old now. And if you want to be with us forever, we want you to be with us
That's
forever. So
forever.
we've just come to just check in and say, like, hey, like if you want eternal life, I would love to share that with you.
It's interesting
Yeah.
that Stack can like smell death.
I know it kind of is like very Bones and Ollie.
Yeah.
It has interesting implications for the vampire lore.
I want
Yeah,
more vampire lore.
I love it. And I just think like the very, very final scene was also beautiful too. Just to like focus back on the simplicity of the beautiful sound of Miles Caton's voice, like,
His voice is so good.
and this little light of mine, very, very poignant.
And
It was beautiful.
you called out that quote earlier about the "we were free," but even just like rereading it now in my notes, I'm like emotionally affected by that. Like it is so
Yeah.
beautiful. Where he just says, "I think before the sun went down, I think that was the best day of my life. Was it like that for you?" And Stack says, "No doubt about it. The last time I seen my brother, last time I seen the sun, and just for a few hours, we was free." And then it's like I'm crying, and he's like putting on his John T. Little sunglasses.
Ugh.
I know. And he's like,
Ugh.
I'm gonna rock this shit. Sob,
What a
cry bitches.
fucking movie.
Cut to see him. Apparently, that scene, that's the post-credit scene where he sings "Little Light of Mine," that was something that they had filmed for an earlier part of the movie that I think is from that conversation in the morning before anything happens with his dad in the church. And that's the song that the church kids are singing the next day during the service. And so I think that's what they like filmed that for, but it is such a beautiful, beautiful post-credit scene.
Ending.
And it is so like his ethos for his character is just like,
Yeah.
my dad wants me to not do this. He wants me to be different. He wants me to be devoted to his version of spirituality as opposed to my version of spirituality, but I have this little light and I just am gonna let it shine.
No.
Okay. Totally off point, but I want to bring it up before we move on to our segmentos.
Okay.
Um, have y'all looked at the Sinners Spotify like playlist album?
No.
Because they have weird little like tidbits about it, like it's like news articles, and some of it's like unrest in Chicago, the Irish and the Italian mobs are warring, and then
Oh,
like
fun.
there's another one, and it's from 1911, and it talks about how a bunch of Irish immigrants disappear off boat coming to America. And so one can presume that like Remic's been in the States for like 20 something years.
Wow.
And, that also could be a nod to Dracula because he did come over
boat.
via boat.
Oh.
And destroyed everybody on that boat.
Yeah. And also
Yeah.
go listen to the Sinners soundtrack because
Cry.
it tells the movie. It like explains the plot in the movie, and it's so good.
There's an IMDb trivia entry that talks about how Ryan Coogler had the heavy metal band Metallica on his mind when he was laying out the story's rhythm and beats. Quote, I wanted the movie to have the simplicity and simultaneously the profound nature of a Delta blues song, but I wanted it to have the contrast, variation, and the inevitability of a great Metallica song like One. So really the whole movie, it is so like music focused, not just in plot, but in
It's
like
a
the
musical.
construction of, and that was some people's problem with it. But it's so baked into the film as a whole. Like the whole thing is a love letter to music.
It really is.
Okay, now I have somebody who's gay if we're ready for segments.
Segmentos.
How could this movie be gayer? Go.
That bartender at the end at Perline's with the dangly earring that Mary flashes her fangs to, he's gay.
Gay.
Thank God. Thank God.
Anyone else? That's my one note.
I don't have a lot of gay thoughts with this. I had a lot of other thoughts.
I think if we were already seeing that much pussy eating, we should have seen two ladies going at it. I don't know who. They could have been side characters.
They could have been future ladies in the
Future lesbians
vision.
in the
Yeah, they could have been
scene, yeah.
scissoring. That's
Scissor
a chance.
Sisters.
Yeah, I think that would have fit right in.
I think that would have been really beautiful, and it would have added. It would have been a value add for sure. A little scissoring never hurt.
I think Remick is bisexual.
Definitely. What did we say? What did we say about vampires?
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
well,
vampires.
vampires
That
in general,
long.
and his whole love and friendship for everybody, and we're all equal. Like, he's not going to be discriminating based on anything.
No.
I think you could project a asexuality to a degree onto Sammy, in that he's still so dedicated to Perlene all of these years later, where it's just kind of like that was the one special person that came across his life that he was interested in, and if he can't be with her, he's not really interested in having it. I think there's space for that there, but
Totally.
also I want him to have love if he wants that.
Yeah. He might have someone.
His
He
love
just
is the
might have just
music,
done
baby.
A little...
His love is the music.
Love is the music, but he might have just done like a little tribute to his first love for the name of his club, which I think is fair.
Maybe
His
he had
wife can't get mad
5
about that.
wives. Maybe he had 4 wives and 1 husband. We don't know.
Who's to
Love
say?
that.
You know how musicians are. There's that quote from Smoke at one point when he's being mean to Sammy, where he's like, "I've never met a happy musician." So
Wow.
Rude.
I think Sammy's dad repressed homosexual.
that's a classic pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Classic. Do we have any more gay thoughts we'd like to share?
So many more gay thoughts.
Anyway,
Oh,
Matthew
Smoke
Lillard.
and Stack and Mary will do threesomes, but like with everybody.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board for that.
Again, they're
Whereas
vampires.
True.
Annie and Smoke, I feel like extremely monogamous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very straight.
100%. Very monogamous. Not poly at all. Not swingers in heaven.
Nope.
Okay, Matthew Lillard. I think that there are very few places for him to be, and all of them are Ku Klux Klan members, but there's only one that is rehabilitated through vampirism, and that is
Bert.
Bert, Mr. KKK. So that is where Matthew Lillard has to go. There's simply no other option.
He
The
would be
other
a
guys are
fantastic
too bad.
Remick. He would do a fantastic job as Remick. But I love Jack O'Connell as Remick.
so
Yeah.
much. He
And
was
when he's
so
like,
good.
"Are you guys part of the KKK?" and he's like, "Sir." That's a
Whoa.
great line delivery.
So fucking funny. I love it. Thank God.
Yeah,
he
it's
could
the
just
only
be like one of the people on the white side of the street as we get like the
No,
tracking
they all
shot.
say fucked up shit too.
He's
We don't like
there,
that.
but he's not saying anything. He's just going,
I
Oh,
want to
you
see
wanna know
Matthew
who he
Lillard
is?
sing a little song, Chelsea.
You want to know
Let
who
me
he
have
is?
him.
No,
I'm
no.
just suggesting lots of various placements for him.
I know where he is. He's Mary's wealthy white husband back home in Arkansas
hold
that we never see.
Oh, and he is
I
singing.
totally missed that.
He is
the
singing
first
over
time.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. We're giving him an off-screen role. Love that for him. Okay, that brings us to the dumb bitch. There's so many.
It's the
entire
Klan.
society of
It's Jim Crow.
Besides- the entire society of the 1932 or whatever. Everything that's going on is a dumb bitch.
Racism.
Racism.
Yeah.
Is a dumb bitch.
Colonization.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because other people are like making dumb decisions, but I love them and I don't want to give them even a nomination. You know what I
No.
mean? Even if their plan is not necessarily very well thought out a lot of the time.
Circumstances are the dumb bitch.
Yeah, the KKK really did not know who they were dealing with either. They really thought that they were gonna roll up on everybody in the juke joint. And did they think they were gonna have a big slumber party? I don't know what they were expecting.
Most of the time, juke joint parties would like,
Go to Sunrise.
yeah, like, and then they would, you know, cook like breakfast foods and stuff like that too.
Okay,
I just
well, that
saw
sounds
this-
lovely.
That sounds great. I was so thrilled that there was just like an obliteration of KKK members
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
film. Like that was
Yes.
so sick. I
That
was
had
just
to have
like it
been
turned into,
cathartic for them to film
Ugh.
also.
I was like, get him. Fucking blow him
When
up
he
with
throws
a
the grenade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody throwing a grenade is always a fun time to watch, you know?
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, KKK plus are the dumb bitch. And
He's also
I
just
think
such a
we already
rude
knew
bitch.
that.
He's like, we just cleaned these floors for sure. Yeah, totally. And then he spits on them. Like,
Right?
okay, bitch.
Fucking getting mouth cancer from his-
Fucking ground dragon.
Ugh.
Grand dragon. Ground dragon. It's grand dragon.
Now he's
Yeah.
a
It doesn't
ground
matter.
dragon because
It doesn't matter. I
turned into
disrespect their
mincemeat
title.
on the ground.
Yeah.
Anyway, time for knives out of fives.
Okay, so I'm just gonna disregard the fact that on IMDb this movie has a 7.7 out of 10 because that is not correct.
That's wrong.
But on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 97% fresh from critics and 96% fresh from audiences. So
Correct.
fantastic scores. And then again, this is a new movie, so not a lot of room for awards. However, at the 2025 Critics' Choice Super Awards, and again, I don't know if these have happened yet, so I don't know if there are winners or losers yet. But I do know that it was nominated for Best Horror Movie, Best Actor in a Horror Movie for Michael B. Jordan, Best Actress in a Horror Movie for Wunmi Mosaku, and Best Villain in a Movie for Jack O'Connell. So this
Sick.
movie, it very much is getting the recognition that it deserves. I would love to, there's been like buzz about it for next year's Oscars. I would love to see
It better.
if it
Oh,
can
they're
like
gonna campaign for sure.
yeah. I would love to see if it can keep its momentum that long. But I think it is like such a fantastic movie and very deserving of all of that technical recognition.
Yeah.
And also just of the like emotional impact and power of this story and performances as well.
And especially
Totally.
because this is an original movie.
Yeah.
Like it's an original one that he
Yes,
based
thank
off his
you.
uncle.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
it's
Everything about
gorgeous.
it is so beautiful. I'll give it 5
Right.
knives.
5
Yeah.
knives.
I'm
So
gonna give it
like-
5 knives. I've said everything I've had to say already. I'm giving it 5 knives. That's all I have to say. It's
Fives across
fantastic.
the board.
It's beautiful.
Yay! I loved it. I think it's so special. I think it's so beautiful and moving.
Yeah.
I like it's so fun also. Like it doesn't
Yes.
and it's got everything.
It's
I
got
loved
everything,
watching this movie in air
including-
conditioning.
including
Mhm.
pussy eating out the waz.
Correct.
Yeah.
Out the
Yes.
coos, baby.
Out the coos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Makes me think of our koozies.
Out the coos.
Coos. Okay, wow, we're all in agreement. It's perfect. I decided I'm gonna introduce the next one.
I
Is that
felt like
okay?
it was gonna be you.
Okay, I decided. Okay. The jury has come back and it's decided that this is a theme month actually.
Jury's out.
Yeah, we
Look,
were like,
we locked
oh,
in."
is it a theme month? No, we could do whatever we want. We could not only do movies from 2025. We could change. We could divert from the plan at any moment. No, it's 25.
We can't. We're locked
2025
in.
month. Think of a hot name for it, Chelsea. Brainstorm. New movie month. There
I'll
you
come
go.
up with something by the end of the month.
By
Yeah.
the end of the month, we'll have a name and then we'll retcon it onto everything. We love a retcon. But anyway, this is a movie that I made quite a stink about because I really was being dramatic about trying to not watch the trailer for it before it came out, and I caused a scene. Like I literally ran out of the theater one time to avoid watching the trailer, and then Chelsea ruined it for me anyway. And that is 2025's Companion.
Which I still
starring-
haven't
Just
seen.
ruined the premise.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. I love you.
No, we'll talk
It
about
wasn't
we'll
that
tell that
big of a
story
deal.
later.
It wasn't that big of a deal.
A
But
little.
it has Sophie Thatcher. And I'm in love with her. So, and
Jack
we have the same
Quaid,
haircut,
and
so it's
he's so
gonna,
fun.
yeah. And Harvey Gil
Guillen? I want to say, but I don't know if that's correct.
Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows, and he's also
Ooh.
in Werewolves Within, which is a fucking hilarious movie if you haven't seen that. And is his name Lucas Gage? Did I make
Lucas
that
Gage.
up?
That is
Lucas
correct.
Gage! Gay horror icon, Lucas Gage. I love him. Everything he touches is better for it. You seen Overcompensating? Anyway,
Incredible.
I'm really excited to do this movie. I thought it was. I had a great time. I had a great time and I had a fun time. So I hope that you have a fun time, Sydney. And I won't say anything more than that, so you can stay pristine within
Thank you.
your cocoon of unknowing. Anyway, don't you love that we came up with a theme 3 episodes into a month? You do.
I divined it from the beginning. I just wasn't sure if we were going to venture away from that, but
Exactly. I was thinking we were gonna do this the
we
whole
held
time, but
space.
yeah, we were holding space for a theme, but we wanted to kind of like bamboozle you, and
Mhm.
so you
So
could
that you wouldn't
write.
be like, ugh, another theme, I'm out. So we
Or like,
just
That's what we're
proceed
doing
instead.
now. We're
Yeah.
gaslighting you into themes now. We reveal them as the month continues on.
But
See,
you
So you
didn't
can
notice
say-
every
The theme.
movie this month was about werewolves, did you?
That would be ridiculous. Anyway, all of that to say, I'm trying to get to a point here. You could write in a 5-star review. Wow, I love how you gaslight me. It's good, actually.
Gaslight
And a 5-star
gatekeep girl boss.
on Apple Podcasts or just a 5-star rating on Spotify. We'll take it. And why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we're at Spooky Tuesday Pod. Go to www.spookytuesdaypod.com to see our website and information about what's coming up next. Every episode we have ever done and hot sexy pictures of us. It's amazing. Links on links on links. Speaking of hot sexy pictures, there's this thing called a video and it's many pictures together. It's like a moving picture and we release those
That sounds so
on
cool.
YouTube. Yeah, it's really crazy. Today none of us are dressed to theme, but I thought about cornbread when I put on overalls and I thought about smoke when I put on this hat, and together I end up being that girl from
Audrey.
Yeah.
Audrey from Journey
Atlantis.
to Atlantis. So that's the only thing going on today. Is just an accident. But we look great, and don't you like to see the weird faces we make when we talk? You can only see that on YouTube.
Sometimes
Also,
we make gestures.
You can see me getting up to take my dogs in and outside because they had to potty.
It's
You need
true.
to see that. You need
Yeah,
to
it's
see
so
it.
important.
It's really good. It's important. We also have a Patreon. It's super fun. It's super cute. We're in on our Discord every day, chatting about new movies, dunking on Clown in a Cornfield. It seems, I don't know. People are being haters.
The Jurassic World franchise sometimes.
Yeah, we're getting in on the Jurassic World franchise. Okay, so let your voice be heard in our Patreon. Join today. Join our cult, and that's it. At the end of the day, I have to say thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye, spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.